Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Zenless Zone Zero reaction. Today we have two songs, which is a little bit weird for this series, but they're both pretty short, and I think I can do that this time around. Genetic Savior wanted me to get to both of these, which is Silver Silver and Stygian Scope, I believe. I couldn't find an official upload of these in the Sun Z collections because they only have names for most of their stuff in Chinese, and I was only given the English names for these ones. So I'm using some channel called Kids Starbanger OST in order to listen to both of these. I don't know how the quality is gonna be, but from like the 0.5 seconds I listened to just to make sure that they were like audible and not just crappy rips, it sounded fine, so I'm gonna use these today, and I guess without further ado, let's go! Noisy. Gritty. I expect nothing less. Yeah, there it is. That trademark Sun Z beat. I love how it's just a little bit epic. And these like cinematic stings. The little psycho influence maybe. I always love how unapologetic they are when it comes to just sticking with that badass heavy beat. And now we got a build up, which means they could go anywhere. Double time, go back to the same thing maybe, or something completely new. Now it's time to find out. Double time. Whew. Little break there caught me. And there we go. Back to the main meat of the song. And just in time to be able to loop it back around. As they do so damn well. Oh man. Like, again, I say this every single time, but Sun Z knows what they're doing. I won't have too much to say for this one just because it was, one, fairly short, and two, it's going to be a lot of my regurgitated thoughts about Sun Z's overall production. They nail it every fucking time. I mean, this one just locked into the exact same pattern as I expected. They kind of have their trademark sound, like I mentioned, where it's just this heavy, four on the floor, kind of lethargic sort of beat, and it just makes you kind of rock with it, right? It demands that of you. And that's something I always love because you could really do that with any of the characters in this game, and I feel like it would fit entirely. Maybe some characters might be a little bit too like bouncy and a little too happy and bubbly for that sort of energy, but at least like 90% of the characters that I've seen could easily have this follow them around and it would totally feel in place all the time, never once out of place. And that's just kind of the vibe of Sun Z too. The way that they produce for this game is so absolutely flexible, and it's so identifiable that it's hard to think of it in any other context. I love this sort of approach, these sorts of heavy identity labeled songs, this sort of sound that just belongs to this game. If anyone in Sun Z were to leave, that would change the dynamic entirely. I don't know if they would be able to sound the same if one of the Sun Z people ever decided to step away, because I feel like they have such an identity locked in. Kind of similar in a way, I think, to how when Genshin composer Yu Peng Chen decided to leave the project, there was definitely a shift of how they approach their music, but they managed to find their own voice over time. That would probably happen again. But this is such an identifiable sound that I don't know if anyone else really could step into those shoes. You could get people who would sound close enough, but really, I think that this might be one of those cases where if they lose somebody, they lose a core of the identity that they won't be able to get back. So I hope they never do. But also, man, like I said, this follows that exact blueprint of what makes these songs and themes for these characters sound so fantastically identifiable. It's just this beat that's super heavy. The chords and synths are all basically the same as they have been for other songs, but you can definitely tell the difference between each one. It's not like they're writing the exact same song. They just have kind of a signature thing. It's kind of like a producer tag for a DJ. When you have something that you've made and you want to make sure that your name stays attached to it, you hide something that's very noticeable and very you within the beat. And I think that that is just the post-processing that they have for Sanzi. I don't know entirely if that's the case. It could be very well that it's just the same guy handling a lot of these, which could also be a factor, but maybe, I don't know, man. It's such an identity, and I fear for the day where they might lose somebody and that could change and it might be super noticeable. I really hope it won't be, but at the same time, when you make something this notable, it can definitely be a threat. So damn, but also I need to listen to Stygian Scope here. I've been yapping for a while and I should listen to the second song, so let's get to that, shall we? Man, this is already doing something kind of different. But there's that same, see what I mean? It's that same, like it's the same beat, very similar patterns. But the identity is completely unique. I think I'm nailing down what that special sauce might be more than what I said already. See, like this going like offbeat with some of the hits. This is very identifiable to this character. Or at very least, this type of character. The sirens there too. Those alarms. Woo! I love it when they do that. God, if this was my, like, theme song, not even Doom Guy could take me out. And there's the double time. So, like, they keep things. But again, I'm noticing things production-wise that are very, very specific. Yeah. Also, very nice way to like pass the song out by putting that filter on there at the end. Very clever. So I think I actually have some answers as to why their production sounds so identifiable. I said that word like 10 times so far. This song made it a lot more obvious. Hearing both of these songs back to back allowed me this like extended period to hear these individual tracks and completely different characters that are supposed to be represented by them. So I was able to kind of separate out what made each character's song feel identifiable to them, there's that word again, and just extract from it what the same parts were. So I think we have some production stuff that is very, very, very notable here. One is definitely what I said. They have that exact same signature beat, that slow halftime shift into double time for sure. That's a part of it. Maybe not even the main part though. What I think the main part of it is the way they handle the mix in the low end and the way that they handle the production on like the bass and the low sub bass synths. Like that specifically is such a trait, a quality that you need to specify in order to make a sound consistent between all of these songs. If you do that differently, if you were to leave a bunch of different producers to their own devices, they would make a completely different mix and a completely different production. There is somebody here making sure that that doesn't happen, or they're all in like the same room, or given that it's Sanzi and there's multiple producers just kind of together as a collective, it's probably one person's job to do that final pass and make sure that they're all on the same page sonically, not even just, you know, making songs sound kind of the same and hitting that same general melodic match, but literally making a final pass, a final mastering pass and mixing pass maybe, where things have to be exactly to spec in order to make things sound exactly the same, at least to a point. I feel like a lot of the top end is left alone and left to whoever's handling what, you know? Maybe these two are by the same producer. That could also be a factor here. But I've also noticed this in basically every single song I've heard from Sanzi so far, is that production pass, that final spit and polish, is consistent between basically every character theme and location theme that I've heard from this game so far. So the sound director basically is probably doing that, making sure that these things are extremely up to par with each other to make sure that that consistency stays on a lock and key. And that is insanely impressive to me. The fact that they can allow multiple people to do whatever they need to get that sound they want for these characters, but then also making sure, absolutely damn sure, that there is that final pass to make all of that butter kind of melt together into this beautiful little vat of fatty liquid gold. I love this so much, and I'm also a little hungry. But I think specifically for this song, something I loved about this, and I've noticed this about some other songs as well, especially character themes, is that when they separate these characters out, they have like classifications of how their sound should be. You get some characters like the first song of this group where it's a little bit more obviously EDM, you know, like there's very clear synths, there's very obvious tone in that direction, and they're going for that sound, something a little bit more electronic and a little bit more synthetic, versus this one, which while it is entirely synthetic and you can tell, there is a bridged gap somewhere that it could be a synth, but it could also be straight up a guitar. Like the synth that's in here, it might sound like a drop D, like metal guitar, heavy riff style, and I can't tell if it's a recorded guitar that is then heavily distorted to match the synth, or if it's literally a synth trying to sound like a metal guitar. It really could go either way. I've heard both ways for that being done, and they both sound within reasonable doubt the same. So it kind of just depends on what their own workflow is for that, but it makes this character stand out because you have to approach the sound differently from doing something else that's a little bit more straight up EDM and a little bit more in that field. Like the way that you approach music theory for all these might be slightly different because they're different instruments, they're different growth periods between the start to the finish of the song. If you want to do something that's electronic, you have a little bit more wiggle room with just sticking to single notes, and there's a lot less like harmonic work you have to do in order to make things work. Whereas if you want it to sound like a guitar, you have to specifically choose what chords would make up like a power chord on a guitar in order to get that specific sound. It is a different approach than just diddling around on a keyboard or a piano roll in a DAW. You have to make sure that you are hitting those exact notes that would replicate that exact chord on a guitar. It is a completely different approach. And that's something that I've only recently been able to notice myself as I've been learning the guitar recently, and I've just started getting into power chords, and I understand how they're different sonically, and I never would have understood that had I not tried to learn. I've diddled around on a keyboard before, I've messed around in electronic production before, and I'm a drummer mainly, so like I get those things. In theory, I get as like a blanket understanding, but I hadn't really picked up a guitar in my life until recently, and that's teaching me an entirely different level of music that I really didn't think about, like how these voicings on the guitar are very specific, and this character has that sound. It's not just an open chord like you would get on a piano, it is a specific voicing on a guitar that you can do multiple of on either instrument really, but the way that it's done is specific to a guitar for that specific tone, that metal quality, especially when you start getting into things like drop D tuning. It's a completely different game. So hearing that in this, and that identifiable difference, there's that word again, is extremely impressive to me. The fact that they're doing this and paying attention and not just throwing all shit to the wall and going, it's music, it's all the same. They are clearly paying attention to those minute differences to get these characters to sound as independent as they can, which is just really fucking cool. I mean, that's the pros way to do it, isn't it? You get a character assigned to you, you get a song assigned to you, you get an area assigned to you, and it's your job to be able to pinpoint what that area or that person should sound like, what their sound should be. And of course you'll get notes from the production staff, sure, but like it's your job to suss out that extra information and like give them an idea and be like, is this what you want? Is this kind of the vibe you're going for? Or should we completely scrap that and do something else? And this is just really cool to be able to see this and understand and respect that on a new layer. So if you're not a musician yourself, as I know a lot of people who follow this channel aren't, you're probably not even thinking about that sort of thing, but that's the difference here. That's why it sounds so unique to the other one, despite all of those other similarities and that overall spit and polish final shine that it gets sounding the same. It's because they're trying so hard to differentiate them by making sure that that identity is unique to each other by using different voicings from different instruments and sticking to that for these characters and giving them that identity. So that's just really fucking cool. I really like that a lot. But I've also been yapping about this for fucking ever. So thank you all so very much for watching. I'll stop yapping now. If you have another song from Zenless Zone Zero you want me to get to, by all means, drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, I'm running out of breath. You know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!